He saved 2 alien beauties. Now they're both desperately in love with him. Distress in the void. The emergency beacon crackled through the static like a dying heartbeat. Captain Dante Rivas sat forward in his pilot seat, weathered hands adjusting the frequency on his salvage vessel, the Wandering Star. For 3 years, he'd drifted through the outer sectors alone, haunting the debris fields and abandoned stations, searching for scrap to sell and trying to outrun memories of the colony plague that took everyone he loved. The distress signal originated from the Crimson Belt, a treacherous asteroid field where few ventured. Dante's jaw tightened. Probably pirates, he thought, using false signals to lure good Samaritans into ambushes. But something in the signal's desperation made him alter course. Maybe he was tired of running. Maybe he needed to be needed again. 2 hours later, he found the source, a sleek diplomatic vessel, its elegant curves marred by savage blast marks and a gaping hull breach. The ship bore markings from Lysera, a distant world known for its peaceful philosophers and stunning architecture. No pirates in sight, just the haunting silence of vacuum and death. Dante suited up, magnetic boots clanking as he crossed the void between ships. Inside the damaged vessel, emergency lighting flickered red across corridors littered with debris. Bodies floated in the zero-gravity, guards, crew members, all beyond help. His stomach churned, but he pressed deeper, following his scanner's life sign readings. In a sealed medical bay, he found them. 2 women, clearly not human, lay in failing stasis pods, their life support systems blinking critical warnings. The elder appeared to be in her mid-20s, with cascading silver-white hair that floated around her unconscious face like spun starlight. Her skin held an otherworldly quality, shimmering faintly with an iridescent sheen like moonlight on water. Elegant flowing marks traced along her neck and down her arms, currently dim and grey. The younger woman, perhaps early 20s, had copper-gold curls that seemed to hold their own inner warmth. Her skin glowed with softer amber tones, and similar marks adorned her body, though hers curved in slightly different patterns, awakening bonds. Dante's med bay had never housed anyone so extraordinary. For 18 hours straight, he worked to stabilize the sisters, rerouting power from his ship's non-essential systems, administering the last of his universal medical synthesizers, monitoring their vital signs with exhausted vigilance. His hands trembled as he adjusted 4 lines and oxygen levels, whispering encouragements he wasn't sure they could hear. When Celestia Vuex finally opened her eyes, startling violet irises that seemed to hold entire galaxies, she found herself staring at a rugged human man slumped in a chair beside her bed, dark circles under his eyes, dried blood on his hands from treating her wounds. Her younger sister Aria lay in the next bed, breathing steadily, alive. "You're safe," Dante murmured, jolting awake at her movement. "Your ship was attacked. I brought you here." Celestia's luminescent marks flickered weakly, responding to her emotions. "Our guards, the crew. I'm sorry." His voice carried genuine grief. "You two were the only survivors." Aria stirred then, her amber marks pulsing brighter as consciousness returned. Her gaze immediately found her sister, then their savior. "Who?" "Captain Dante Rivas. Salvager. Wrong place, right time." He offered a tired smile that transformed his weathered face into something almost boyish. Over the following days, as the sisters recovered strength, they learned the depth of his sacrifice. Dante had exhausted his fuel reserves bringing them to his ship, used his entire medical stockpile, and diverted power from his navigation systems. He'd saved them at tremendous personal cost, asking nothing in return. On Lysera, Celestia explained one evening as they shared a modest meal in his cramped galley, "When someone saves a life, we believe a soul tether forms. An unbreakable connection between savior and saved." Dante chuckled, offering her more synthesized protein. "Sounds like a myth." But Aria's marks flared bright copper as she watched him, her heart already knowing the truth. "It's no myth. We feel it. Here." She pressed a hand to her chest. Celestia found herself studying their rescuer constantly, the careful way he moved through his ship, the gentleness in his calloused hands when he checked their healing wounds, the loneliness that haunted his dark eyes when he thought no one was watching. "Teach me to make your earth beverages," she requested softly one morning, finding him in the galley before dawn ship time. 3 to 5 parts 15:42. Dante looked surprised but gestured to his small collection of supplies. As he showed her the ancient coffee-making ritual, their fingers brushed over the container. Celestia's marks bloomed silver-white, glowing softly in the dim galley light. She felt warmth spread through her chest, not just gratitude, but something deeper, more intimate. "Your marks," Dante breathed, mesmerized. "They're beautiful when they glow like that." "They respond to strong emotions," she whispered, unable to look away from his face. "Joy, fear, connection." Their faces were inches apart now, the coffee forgotten. Dante's hand rose slowly, hesitating, then gently traced one of the luminescent patterns along her forearm. Celestia's breath caught, every nerve alive with sensation. Am I allowed to?" His voice was rough with uncertainty and desire. Instead of answering, Celestia closed the distance, pressing her lips to his in a tender, searching kiss. Her marks blazed brighter, cascading waves of silver light pulsing with her racing heartbeat. When they finally parted, both were breathless. "The soul tether," she murmured against his lips. "It's real, Dante. What I feel for you, it's not just gratitude." Behind them, a throat cleared softly. Aria stood in the doorway, her copper gold marks glowing warmly, eyes bright with unshed tears, but not of jealousy. Of understanding. "I feel it too," the younger sister confessed, stepping into the galley. "Both of us do, Dante. From the moment we woke and saw you there, exhausted from saving us. Your kindness, your sacrifice." She approached slowly, taking his other hand. "On Lysera, love isn't something to hoard or divide. When two hearts recognize the same soul, it's considered a blessing." Dante looked between them, stunned. "You're saying, both of you?" Celestia squeezed his hand gently. "We're saying we won't compete for your heart. Either you can love us both, or neither of us. We're sisters. We share everything, joy, sorrow, and now, if you'll have us, love." Growing closer. 3 weeks passed as Dante navigated toward neutral territory, his fuel reserves slowly replenishing from a fortunate salvage find. The cramped ship transformed from a lonely vessel into something resembling a home. Laughter echoed through corridors that had known only silence for years. Aria proved to be irrepressibly playful, her copper marks dancing with mischief as she convinced Dante to teach her piloting maneuvers. "Left thruster, not right," he shouted as she nearly clipped an asteroid, but he was laughing, his hand covering hers on the controls, guiding her with patient warmth. When she finally executed a perfect barrel roll, she spun in the pilot's seat and kissed him fiercely, triumphantly. "I did it." "You're a natural menace," he murmured against her lips, but his arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her closer. Her marks blazed like captured sunlight, warm and brilliant. Celestia's approach was quieter but no less intense. She learned his routines, anticipating his needs, preparing meals when he worked late on repairs, organizing his chaotic spare parts inventory, reading to him from Lyceran poetry during the long night watches. Her voice was like silver bells, the ancient words speaking of stars and destined meetings. One evening, as they watched a meteor shower through the observation port, Celestia broke down, confessing her fears. "I don't want to return to Lysera, to the royal court, the politics, the expectations. Everyone we loved on that ship died because of who we are." Dante pulled her into his arms, letting her luminescent tears soak his shirt. "Then don't go back. Stay here. With me. You'd accept us? 2 alien royals with targets on their backs, complicating your simple salvager life." He tilted her chin up, his eyes fierce with determination. "Celestia, my life stopped being simple the moment I found you. Both of you. And I wouldn't change it for anything in this entire galaxy." She kissed him then, deep and desperate, her marks pulsing in waves that matched her racing heart. When they finally parted, Aria had joined them, drawn by the emotion radiating through their bond. The three of them sat intertwined on the observation deck floor, watching stars streak past, Dante's arms around both sisters as they rested their heads on his shoulders. Aria's fingers traced patterns on his chest while Celestia's hand intertwined with his, their marks creating a soft, harmonious glow that bathed them all in gentle light. I've been alone so long, Dante confessed quietly. After the plague took my family, my home colony, I thought I'd spend the rest of my life drifting. That I didn't deserve connection again. His voice cracked. You two brought me back to life. Arya lifted her head, pressing a soft kiss to his jaw. Then we saved each other. You gave us life, and we gave you purpose. Celestia's marks suddenly flared bright in warning, her empathic senses detecting danger before the alarms blared. Dante! Ships approaching fast, hostile signatures. Danger returns. The attack came without warning. 3 mercenary fighters dropped out of hyperspace, their weapons already charging. Dante threw the sisters into crash seats and dove for the helm, his salvager instincts kicking in as he pushed the wandering star into evasive maneuvers. They are Krillian hunters. Arya shouted, reading the tactical display. They must have tracked our stasis pod signatures. The Lyceran Council has enemies who want us dead. Plasma fire scorched past the hull. Dante's ship wasn't built for combat. It was an aging salvager held together by repairs and hope. Another hit rocked them hard, sparks exploding from a console. Celestia screamed as shrapnel grazed her shoulder. Get to the escape pods. Dante yelled, blood running down his temple from where he'd struck the bulkhead. No! Both sisters shouted in unison. Arya unbuckled and staggered to the weapons station, her copper marks blazing with fury. Teach me to fire. Now! Celestia moved to navigation despite her injury, her silver marks pulsing as she closed her eyes. I can feel them, their intentions, their positions. My empathic senses can guide you both. What followed was a desperate dance of survival. With Celestia's empathic guidance sensing the enemy pilot's intentions split seconds before they acted, Dante anticipated every attack pattern. Arya learned the weapon systems in real time, her fierce determination overcoming inexperience. Left fighter diving, now! Celestia called out. Dante rolled hard as plasma screamed past. Arya, target lock. She fired, her shot clipping the fighter's engine. It spun away, trailing flame. But the other two pressed their advantage. A direct hit to the port thrusters sent the wandering star into a violent spin. Dante fought the controls, his hands flying across the console, but another blast tore through the hull near the medbay. Alarms shrieked warnings of imminent life support failure. I won't let them take you. Dante roared, pushing the engines beyond safety limits. He aimed straight for the larger mercenary ship in a desperate gambit. Dante, no! Celestia cried, but her marks suddenly exploded with brilliant silver light. Arya's marks ignited simultaneously, blazing copper gold. The sisters locked eyes, understanding flowing between them. They reached for each other across the cockpit, and when their hands touched, something extraordinary happened. Their marks synchronized, pulsing in perfect harmony, creating waves of luminescent energy that rippled through the ship. The empathic power they'd inherited from their royal bloodline, dormant until now, awakened in the crucible of desperate love. Part 5:15. 44 The synchronized energy burst outward like a shield, deflecting the incoming plasma fire. The mercenary pilots suddenly clutched their heads, overwhelmed by the psychic feedback of the sisters' combined empathic assault. Every ounce of protective fury, desperate love, and fierce determination the sisters felt for Dante flooded into their attackers' minds. The mercenary ships veered off wildly, their pilots disoriented and fleeing. One collided with an asteroid, while the others retreated into hyperspace, wanting no part of powers they couldn't understand. The wandering star drifted, engine smoking, but intact. Alive. Dante slumped in his chair, blood from multiple cuts staining his shirt. Celestia and Arya rushed to him, their marks still glowing softly as they frantically checked his injuries. Their hands trembled as they pressed emergency sealant to the gash on his forehead, their tears falling freely. You almost died protecting us, Celestia whispered, her voice breaking. Would do it again, Dante managed with a weak smile. 1,000 times over. Arya cupped his face, her amber marks pulsing with emotion. You saved our bodies when you pulled us from that ship. But you saved our souls every day after. You showed us what it means to be truly seen, truly valued, not as princesses or political pieces, but as ourselves. Celestia took his blooded hand, pressing it to her heart. We're desperately, irrevocably in love with you, Dante Rivas. Both of us. Completely. Forever. Dante's eyes glistened as he looked between them, these two extraordinary beings who had transformed his existence. I love you both. Equally. Entirely. I don't know how it's possible to love two people with the same heart, but... Because we're not two separate loves, Arya interrupted gently. We're one constellation. 3 stars bound by gravity and light. He pulled them both into his arms despite his injuries, and they held each other in the flickering emergency lights of the damaged cockpit. Celestia kissed him first, tender and deep, her marks glowing silver against his skin. Then Arya, passionate and fierce, her copper-gold luminescence joining her sister's light. When they finally parted, breathless and tearful, Dante smiled, truly smiled for the first time in years. So what now? Where do 3 people in love with targets on their backs and a half-destroyed ship go? Celestia and Arya exchanged glances, then grinned. Anywhere but back, they said together. A new constellation. 2 months later, the newly christened Trinity dropped out of hyperspace near the frontier colonies, a region of space where questions weren't asked and fresh starts were plentiful. Dante had used their salvage earnings and sold some of the valuable Lyceran artifacts. The sisters insisted they didn't need to completely overhaul the ship. It now boasted proper defenses, upgraded engines, and, most importantly, a larger living quarters that actually fit 3 people comfortably. The observation deck had become their sanctuary. Celestia had hung flowing curtains that caught the starlight, while Arya had installed a proper galley where they experimented with fusion cuisine. Earth dishes with Lyceran spices, creating combinations that were sometimes disastrous but always filled with laughter. Tonight, they lay together on the cushioned floor they'd built for stargazing, Dante in the middle with Celestia on his left and Arya on his right. The sisters' marks glowed softly in contentment, silver and copper intertwining like luminous vines as their hands rested on his chest. Tell us again about Earth Oceans, Arya murmured, her copper curls splayed across his shoulder. Dante's voice was warm in the darkness. Vast and blue, stretching to the horizon. Waves that sing as they crash on shores. My mother used to take me to the beach every summer before. He paused, but the old pain had dulled to bittersweet memory rather than sharp grief. Celestia lifted her head, pressing a gentle kiss to his cheek. Perhaps one day we'll see them together. If Earth still welcomes visitors. We'll make our own ocean if they don't, Arya declared with characteristic boldness. Find a water planet in the colonies, build a house on the beach, grow old watching sunsets. Sounds perfect, Dante whispered, his arms tightening around them both. They'd established new identities in the frontier, Dante as an independent cargo hauler, the sisters as his business partners and navigators. No one questioned the unusual household arrangement. The colonies attracted all sorts seeking new beginnings. They'd even started taking on legitimate transport.